He remembered the noise, the frantic typing, the forced laughter, the constant buzzing anxiety of the old world.
But now, there's a new quiet in the office. It's not the silence of an empty building. It's the silence of a truce.
Alex remembered the old deal. It was never written down, but everyone knew the terms. You gave the company your time, your energy, your best ideas, your life. In exchange, they gave you the promise of a future. He remembered a manager praising an employee for answering emails on his honeymoon. They called it dedication.
Alex now knew it was just an unpaid internship for your own burnout. The promise was broken.
And now the ecosystem had changed. Alex started to notice the new archetypes.
There was Sarah from marketing. She didn't quit. She just recalibrated.
She fulfilled every line of her job description with professional excellence. But at 5:01 p.m., her laptop closed with a gentle final click.
She was acting her wage. Her effort was now perfectly aligned with her compensation. It wasn't passive-aggressive, it was just math.
Then there was Mark. He was loud quitting. He'd found a new job, and his last 2 weeks were a masterclass in theatrical disengagement, sighing loudly in meetings, openly questioning every decision.
But the one who worried Alex was John, the lifer, the guy who built his identity on his job title.
He still performed his duties, but the light was gone. His enthusiasm felt like a memory playing on a loop. Alex had read about this. They were calling it quiet cracking, the slow internal erosion of a soul. John hadn't quit the job. The job had just finished quitting on him.
He looked it up one afternoon. A global report said that nearly 2/3 of the workforce felt this way, that manager engagement was at an all-time low.
An economic cost of nearly $9 trillion. Not because people were lazy, but because the game was exposed as being rigged. The system, of course, was fighting back, but it didn't adapt. It just became more passive-aggressive. They called it quiet firing. Managers wouldn't have the courage to fire someone, so they would just manage them out.
Stolen responsibilities, canceled one-on-ones, a slow, bureaucratic strangulation designed to make someone quit.
The company treated the symptoms but ignored the disease. They saw disengagement as a problem with the employee, not with the promise they had broken.
And that's when Alex finally understood. This wasn't about quitting.
It was about defining the terms of the new contract.
The clock on his computer screen hits 5 p.m.
A notification pops up on his screen. It's from his boss. The subject line: quick question. Alex moves his hand, not to the keyboard, but to the mouse. He doesn't open the email, he clicks shut down.
The work would be done and done well, but it would be done between 9 and 5. His energy, his ambition, his life, those were no longer commodities for sale. They were his. The great recalibration wasn't an act of rebellion. It was an act of survival. It wasn't about giving up on a career. It was about refusing to give up on a life. He often thought about the breaking point. It wasn't one big explosion. It was the day his exceeds expectations review came with a 2% raise. Inflation was at 7%. The praise was the anesthetic, designed to numb him before they told him his hard work was worth less than nothing. He saw it everywhere now, the little ways the system demanded compliance. The anonymous employee survey that wasn't, the mandatory fun day that was just a hostage situation with cheap pizza. Every ritual was a filter, designed to identify and reward the most obedient, not the most competent. He saw the cost of that obedience in the older employees, the ones who had played the game for decades. They weren't just dedicated, they were the final product of the system. A job title in a polo shirt, a ghost of the person they used to be. And Alex decided right then that wasn't going to be him. That was the moment the good soldier in him died. His rebellion wasn't a resignation letter, it was a recalibration. They gave him a 2% raise, so he gave them 2% of his discretionary effort. The weekend emails stopped. The late nights ended. The volunteering for extra projects ceased to exist. He did his job. He did it well. And at 5 o'clock, he went home. And a funny thing happened. With all that energy he got back, he didn't just feel rested.
He felt like himself again.
The system will always demand more. The most important work you'll ever do is deciding how much you're willing to give.